Okay, we'll roll it. Yeah, thanks for joining us today. Welcome back to our demo webinar series. This is the second one, right? Agenda number 2. I'm Mandi Walls and Devil's Advocate here at PagerDuty. If you have any questions or comments at all during the thing, you can put them in the chat if you're joining us on Zoom. Jen will be watching on LinkedIn. If you want to put them in the comments over there, we'll try and catch them as well. And if you find this later in the recording and have questions, you want to get in touch with us, you can reach us at community-team@pagerduty.com, and we'll be happy to route your questions to where they need to go. And with that, we'll turn it over to Alan. Welcome to the stream. Tell us about yourself and what you're going to share with us today.
Awesome. Thank you, Mandy. Yeah, Alan Hickmon here. I'm a solution consultant here at PagerDuty. So I partner with our different customers and helping them realize gains in their operational efficiencies. So a big part of my role is partnering with them to understand their requirements, their workflows and use cases, and then align them to how they can be accomplished in PagerDuty land here. So it's never a dull moment, a day in the life. And I'm excited to show you today some new things that we're working on. Yeah, so let's get started. I'm gonna go ahead and pop open my screen share here. And yeah, everyone, if you wanna pop in questions, ask them as we go along, like happy to keep this interactive. So please jump in. Okay, so let's get started. So in this 1-hour session, we are going to be showing you how to streamline planned work with PagerDuty automation. So in this session, we're going to demonstrate how to standardize and automate routine tasks in an example with database upgrades. So this is going to help show you how to enhance your efficiency and free up valuable time for your engineering team. You're going to learn from some best practices, see the live demo, and discover how automating that planned work can really help free up the productivity within the org. So with that, let's get started. So automation, such a blanket term these days, right? You probably got a ton of it when you hear that word automation. Typically though, what we're seeing with our customers, there's really 3 major issues in preventing them from adopting more automation within their environment. And that's typically because it's just too hard for non-technical experts out there. The learning curve might be steep. It's also hard to scale across internal silos. Whenever you give, the smart people in the world the autonomy to use the tools that they want to and work how they want to, right? It can create those silos, and that then requires you to have to integrate amongst those silos, and kind of brings us to the third really challenge is being able to integrate across the systems and teams. So usually when we see automation, it's often very fragmented in those silos. And what we're calling those silos really today is islands of automation. So this is especially true in larger orgs, since they tend to have a variety of infrastructure types, multiple teams, all with their own tooling preference, right? Sound familiar? So these islands tend to emerge when those orgs independently adopt individual solutions that don't have a real integration capability in the end. So instead of the speed and agility that they're looking for, they get in these data silos. They get disconnected systems. They get inefficient workflows. On top of that, they rely on a handful of SMEs typically. And those are really the only ones that can do the automation or make adjustments to it. And we see drift at times. So those individuals are usually a single point of failure, and they typically get overwhelmed and burnt out, right? They've got so many different projects that they're working on. So what we're looking to do with PagerDuty is make automation more scalable and standardized. So what do we mean by standardize, really? Some projects that you may undertake are listed on this slide. Perhaps you want all the automation to source its secrets from a secrets management tool to keep things locked down. Maybe you want to implement a change control process for updating existing automation in GitHub, so no one pushed an update that breaks an existing automation. The benefits of implementing these standards are recognized and it can be difficult for enterprises to develop automation standards because of that current state of their automation in the silos. So this is really why we built a powerful solution for automation standardization and what we're calling a center of excellence. So it provides an orchestration layer for all of the business's automation tools so they can bridge that gap of the silos and therefore unlock operational efficiencies and maximize the value of that existing automation. So PagerDuty provides a single platform through which those multiple teams can operate, and we allow the disparate teams to continue to use their point solutions, what they love and prefer, while orchestrating those tools through a single platform. So this is going to enable our customers to implement standardization and centralization while still giving that team the independence and autonomy that they love. Additionally, PagerDuty automation bridges the gap between the technical infrastructure and the business process automation for IT processes. So by bridging that gap, we provide customers a standard practice for how to implement automation into their broader org and adhere to the broader company policies and team structures. We're saying center of excellence, or COE. That's just a term for a team whose directive is to foster and enable automation across all of the other teams, kind of like a tiger team specifically for automation. And our platform enables COEs to accomplish their goals by providing them more standardized ways to share and implement automation across those various teams. So the PagerDuty Operations Cloud today, it addresses many different automations that your development team and ops teams may need. You can automate processes end to end and integrate with the existing automation scripts or point tools, as we said, and scale across nodes and environments at the same time, and allow you to design how you want the automations to be triggered. So whether it's automating, for example, the provisioning of a sandbox environment or streamlining the approval process for just that, PagerDuty can help manage that at scale, removing those islands of automation and delivering on the powerful unified automation to combine process with infrastructure. When we say business process, in PagerDuty terms, it's workflow automation. And when we say infrastructure, that is our runbook automation. So why do we do this? Really, in the end, why are we even having this conversation? It's just so the high value, long running business processes can connect to complex, fast running actions and runbooks for a complete end-to-end automated approach for your operational practices. So we're going to get into a use case now. Before, I want to just lay down what the use case is that we'll be showing you in the demo. I want to show you a workflow of how it's going to come together, and then we'll show you it live on the demo. Today, as I mentioned, we're going to be doing a database upgrade, and that's going to be utilized via a web form that we've created within the workflow automation app. And it's going to integrate with Slack as well as Jira for notifications and tasks along the way to ensure nothing is slipped through the cracks, and then we can place some guardrails around our process. In the background, as far as how the database upgrade is happening, it's going to be a bash script that we've created using the AWS CLI to modify a database instance. But again, why are we automating this process specifically? So to me, it really comes down to 4 areas. It's going to be the efficiency, the transparency, the accountability, and the integration ease. So the efficiency of streaming that process from beginning to end, reducing the errors, the transparency, making sure that everyone is up to date with where we are in this process, and inform them of what the current status is. Then the accountability, again, placing the task and the guardrails around it within the team so it gets done in a timely manner. And of course, that seamless integration across all these apps that we're using, giving more value to them. So what this looks like that we're about to run through is we've got a web form that we're going to be submitting. That then is going to, based on the database that we enter in, it's going to be assigned to a certain patch team or upgrade team. And then it's going to go and execute a few actions for us. It's going to create a Jira ticket. It's going to pop a message into Slack, giving them an option to approve of the upgrade to be carried out. And then once that upgrade is initiated, we're going to then go back and notify the team as well in Slack. There's also going to be a task created along the way to pause alerts in PagerDuty. And then the update, once those dependencies are completed, it's going to actually execute. The code is going to be ran, and it's going to upgrade the database. Once that is done, we're going to go back and check in real time, make sure that it has been updated successfully. And once it has, it's going to send an email out to the stakeholders and pop another Slack message in play. This is really the workflow that we're running through today with a few different tools. Now, before we hop into it, I'm just going to take a quick check. Mandy, how are we doing on questions? Is there any there from the audience?
Nope, nothing yet. Jenda did put a link in the chat for folks to learn more about the Automation, Standardization, and Center of Excellence. We have a white paper on that now. So if that's a new term for you and you're not sure if that would apply to your organization, you can take a look at that and download that white paper. So yeah, let's see the demo, man. That's what we're here for.
All right. Product. Show me the product. Yes. Let's get into it. Okay, cool. So we're going to be bouncing back and forth in between showing you from the user experience perspective, as well as getting into like the meat of what is or how you can actually build this. So we'll kind of be going back and forth so you can understand the capabilities there and see this end to end. What I'm showing you right now, this is a form that is created by PagerDuty. It's hosted by us. And you can see this is where someone would go and make a request. So I need someone from our team to upgrade a database, for whatever reason it is, and they would pull up this page, and it would be customized to the different databases, tenants, and environments that you've got. So I'll plug in a couple of details here as I am the end user. I'm going to say I'm super impatient. I need this right now today, so I'm going to put the 20th, and we're going to say it's MySQL. You can see some of the choices here. And I'll also say that with these forms, these were pre-populated in my case. These also could be pulled in and updated in real time. So if I need to go and get values from an external system, right, I can go and grab like what is the latest values that we have here and then populate them onto the form live. I'll go ahead and choose MySQL, and then you can see there's a conditional form that pops up with which version it is, based on our list. We'll say it's 8.33. Before I hit schedule, though, I had actually forgotten that there's not an email right now that is set up to go out. And so I want to actually show you how easy it is to modify this form in real time and how we can adjust the workflow so that we can send out some of those notifications. So now that we've kind of looked at this, played with it a little bit, I'm going to show you behind the scenes. And for that, I want to pull up my other tab here. So this screen that you're looking at, this is where I would define as an admin, what are the individual steps that are going to carry out and be orchestrated across my environment here. At the very top, there's a triggers area. So this is how we're actually going to kick off the automation if it was to happen. And in that, here is our web form that we've created, the URL, all that good stuff. The web form is just one example of what we could do with this, right? This could be kicked off from another system that is sending us maybe a web request. It could even be something as simple as an email. We also have a ton of different pre-built plugins here to choose from on how to kick this automation off. Within the fields that we've got some form fields down below since we have created a form. I said earlier I wanted to add a spot to add an email. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that here. So we'll say create new field, and let's just call it email. And we've got a type for email, but depending on the requirements, right? If it was something true or false, or maybe this is like a password, like a hidden field behind the scenes, right? You've got a ton of different types here to suit your needs. So we'll say email, and let's go ahead and check the box to make this thing required. Okay, so this will now be visible on our form, and we'll show that in a moment. But I also want to show you over on the right side. So referencing this field in a separate action to now send the email out, I can now do that. So now that I've created a new field, it's appeared over on the right side. And I'll just click on it to copy the code or the merge field to reference that in a second action. So let's create a second action right now to actually send the person's email, confirmation email for whoever I plug in right there. So I've got my workflow down below, and we can see some of the steps in place of creating the Jira ticket whenever this is kicked off, also sending a Slack message using our Slack integration to approve it based on if it's a DBA team or the cloud platform team. So there's some conditional logic in here, depending on if I select a certain database type, it's going to get routed to a certain Slack channel here. So we've got those conditions in place. But let's add that email action. So I'm going to just hit this little plus button, and we'll say action, and I'm going to say send confirmation email. So I'm just giving it a name. This is internal description here. And once I click add, we can choose the send email type. I do just want to show you real quick before I pick the send email one, the extensiveness of what is all of the integrations that we've got. So I'm going to hit this little view all actions button, and there's a whole library here. So as far as integrating with other tools, something with Amazon directly, Azure, Active Directory. I mean, it's a long list that we've got. PagerDuty, of course, maybe something as far as like Salesforce or the financial side, as well as Workday. So there's a bunch of pre-built wrappers here. The net to you is you don't have to build a bunch of custom web requests here that we don't have integrations with. There's a bunch of them already built out for you to increase that velocity in which you can release this automation. All right, I'll go back, and there's also some commonly used ones here, such as maybe you've got a external spreadsheet that you want to connect, and that is updated in real time. You still got a manual process elsewhere. There's a bunch of different options. Let me just go ahead and type in it, continue on with the demo. So I'm going to search for email. We've got a bunch of search results here. Here's the one, send an email. As I click on it, it's got a bunch of description over on the right. You know, as the admin, if it's my first time using it, I'm just going to go ahead and hit use this action. All right. So send an email, the to addressed. Let's see if it's saved. It's still in my clipboard. There it is. All right. Pasted it in. That's where it's going. Let's type in some details around what's going to be included in the email itself. We'll say database upgrade confirmation. All right. So let's type a quick email. We'll say, hi, you know, this is a confirmation of, let's say, the database that we're going to be upgrading on the date that we're going to update it to. And for the following tenant. And then lastly, let's just copy the tenant ID. Those are all inputs on the form, if you recall. And then we'll just say, thank you. We'll keep it short and sweet there. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the save button at the very top. And now we've just added our first action here. We can go through the rest of this here in a little bit, but I want to go ahead and kick this thing off in the interest of time. So as I pull up our page here. Let me refresh it. And looky there, it's like magic. We've got a new field. So I'm gonna just type in myself, Alan at PagerDuty.com. And let's go ahead and kick this off. So schedule it. Okay, so now this is going to go and kick off the automation. And what I'm actually going to do right now to show you kind of what's happening behind the scenes so you can get that visual is I'm going to pull up the run history area. So this is going to say all of our activity of what's going on. And right now, as I refresh, we can see that there's one in progress. So what's actually it's waiting for is that approval that we said. So it popped into Slack, right? And it's waiting for our approval. There's also some other dependent tasks downstream that we'll get to in just a moment. But you can see it's kind of in this pending state, some of the other items before it continues on. So that's how we can place those guardrails. So if I pull over my Slack channel, here it is for the DBA team. And you can see the message that it popped in. So it has the environment, the date, and if we want to approve it or not, yes or no. So I can continue to work out of here, as that DBA, and I'll go ahead and hit yes. So as I go back over here, and I also want to point out that there was a JIRA ticket closed. So that's, some customer system of record. You got to have an app with this. You can't just go in and start upgrading stuff willy-nilly. There needs to be something in place, right? So I'll also show you at the same time, I've got my JIRA account right now. And if I refresh, lo and behold, here's a new ticket that was just created for a database upgrade. So it has those same information here. It just says waiting for support at this time. So you can, as this process continues along, I could go back and update this ticket to in a certain status. It's now approved, it's now resolved, what have you, throw in little comments along the way of who's doing what, all that good stuff. So let the automation run in the background and keep the system of record up to date. So we've got our JIRA ticket here. The other thing that I wanted to point out, if we pull up our workflow, so there was also a notification sent out. So remember that confirmation that we created. There's also a dependency with the suspending of alerts. So a part in this process, there can be tasks, right, that we assign to individuals that need to do something along the way. Think of a task as a reminder, for example. So maybe before I want this pushed out, maybe I want to pause some alerts in PagerDuty or the systems that are connected to PagerDuty, so it doesn't start notifying individuals and the sky is falling, right? So we've got a step in place to ensure that doesn't happen. And you can see that it's assigned to myself. There's also, of course, an email that was sent through with this same task. If I pull over my email, there was a quick message here. It says exactly what we just saw, view the task, and then it opens up to that page. Here we go. All right. So let's say I go in now and I pause that, I throw PagerDuty in maintenance mode or make whatever adjustments that I need to. I can go ahead and hit this complete button. And now it's going to go off and carry out those scripts that we had to go and update the relational database here behind the scenes. As I refresh it, we'll see it continuing on, executing it. And this is going to take some time, right? So as this is going in the background, what we are waiting for now is we're going to continually check and loop over this workflow and just ping and see if, hey, is the job completed? Is it successfully run now? So that we know and are aware of it. So as that is going, let me refresh once more. How we doing on questions there? Anything from the chat?
I don't see anything in the chat yet.
Okay. Alrighty. No
So
problem.
as you're building all these workflows, you can kind of mix and match automation stuff, integrations with other systems, and your manual tasks to fit all the requirements of whatever your team needs there. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Like it might be something, as simple as this. It might be a long, stretched out workflow with multiple tasks along the way in several different systems. So it just all depends. But you've got the tools here to build that out in detail. And with the integrations, it makes it a lot easier, right? To build those out. All right.
There's one question here. I'm not sure I understand your question, E. It says, how soon is the follow-up to be fulfilled? I'm not sure what that means. Is this product currently available, Alan? Or is this currently able to be added to a PagerDuty account?
It is, yes. Yes. So this is available to be added to a PagerDuty account. You just need to talk to your account manager or the account team, and they can bring us in and do a customized demo or walk through it in detail. But yes, it is.
Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. So it looks like this was potentially completed. Let's go back here. All right. So we completed their task, and just waiting just a moment. Oh, we can actually see, this is the fun of doing a live demo. So we can actually see that.
Oh no.
So you can actually see that it was something referencing correctly. So we can always retry it if we want. I believe we were messing with this a little bit earlier today. So it's always fun with the live demo. Okay. So we can make a quick adjustment. I believe I know the issue. It was just the version that we were updating from. Let's just do another execution real quick. So we'll approve it. And we can complete our task. All right, there we go. Chose the wrong version. So fun times. All right. So now that it's completed the update, we're doing a check here, making sure that it was up to date and that the database is live. And let's check our Slack. So we've got a little message here. It says the upgrade was complete. So that is awesome. And let's check from the point of view of the email that was sent out earlier. And then finally, these were a couple of the notifications as well. So the task as well as confirmation. So we had those come through at the same time. Awesome. So that is kind of the run through of this workflow specifically, right? There's a lot of different ways that we could have built this out differently. If we wanted to like dig into some of this here, if we wanted to connect external systems, for example, like a ServiceNow or an ITSM, and actually go and update that ticket, similar to what you saw with Jira there. So it could go back out and close out the ticket, for example, or let them know. That was the end-to-end run through though. And always if there's like a failure in it, of course, it could log a ticket, right? So instead of it being resolved, it would maybe say like waiting for support or go and notify someone. Maybe it creates a PagerDuty incident. That would be another good example, right? But that is the general run through of the demo. Doing a quick check. How are we doing on questions, if any?
So a couple of questions about like just kind of managing these over the life cycle. Like
Yeah.
we were talking a little bit at the beginning about some of the ways that automation kind of gets out of hand, where you've got one SME who knows where all the bodies are kind of buried in the scripts directory and all that kind of stuff. With something like that, this setup, do you recommend having like someone who sort of owns the workflow as sort of the SME, and then do folks customize it for their own teams, or does everybody use like the same workflow off the site?
Yeah, I would say, generally speaking, someone would own probably this workflow app,
Mm-hmm.
and be the admin. Ideally speaking, though, maybe have someone from each team be somewhat of a power user, or or an expert on it. But as you'll see here, it's pretty easy to get in and search for the different things. As far
Yeah.
as it's not like it's a low code to no code really here at the end of the day. So the individuals on those teams, once they have seen one of these before or kind of understand it, probably go in and start to build it out themselves, using those integrations. So in my experience, there's probably one admin or so, and then a handful of power users
Mm-hmm.
behind the scenes as well.
And then do the admins take care of like setting up integrations? Or do those integrations get pulled from a PagerDuty integration, or are they set up specifically in this workflow automation?
Yeah, there's both really. So I can
Okay.
have an integration, for example, if I open up the Jira one here, I just actually plugged in an API, but like an endpoint and based on the Jira one, but I could also have like a pre-built, already connected integration here. That would be, like Slack integration, ServiceNow integration. I just click on it and boom, it's our credential to connect to our ServiceNow account. And then I can continue on with the rest of this. So from the admin perspective, they can go in and set up those integrations, right? So then everyone else can kind of self-service with the workflows and what they want to build out. Yeah. I'll also go into something else just while we're kind of on this screen, is everything that we're doing as far as each of these runs or each of these like individual workflows instances that we're running, and the steps throughout this, all this data is captured in tables. That's one of the unique and cool things with workflow automation. So if I were to pull up the table that shows all of the run history, right? This has all of the details that we have gotten. So if I scroll to the right, like here was the versions that were plugged in, URLs that were used, as well as like responses from the other tools. Like what are the IDs? What was the messages that we got back? All of this data, it's stored here in these tables, so then I can reference it in subsequent steps if need be. And the same would go for when we started the call on the form of pre-populating the fields, right?
Right.
I could also just have a separate table that's just a table of data that I'm going out and pulling every once in a while from an external system. And then I can reference that table in this workflow and another workflow and all different kinds of workflows there. And so it kind of centralizes that data that we're storing as well to serve it up in the workflows as well.
Yeah, I think that actually answers the next question from LinkedIn. could we have set up a workflow so that it only provided the database versions that should be upgraded to? And it sounds like that's probably the way you would go about that, having a table of allowed upgrades.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. So and once we, upgrade one, we cross that off from the list. It can't be used again for this tenant,
Mhm.
as an example.
And then when you
Yeah.
say you could use this data again in another workflow,
Yep.
could you kick something off? Like say I have a middleware layer that's dependent on my database being upgraded, and I need to do like a security update or whatever on my middle layer, then can I trigger that as the sort of the next flow in that component?
100%. Yes. So we could use this to just be the first, kind of the first kickoff, and that could connect to a subsequent entire workflow if need be for that use case specifically there. And you could string these together in many ways, whether they're individual or separated out there, because there could be conditions,
Yeah.
if it is this value, okay, I want to go to that second workflow versus this other one. So it can get crazy whenever you get into that, but that there is some of the powerfulness and the customizability that it offers.
Well, and it's one of the harder questions about automation is like the orchestration among components that are dependent upon each other, and having sort of more tightly coupled components in certain respects. And like upgrades is a big one, right? That's you need to upgrade something for security, you need to then make sure everything that uses it is also prepared to be updated if necessary. So yeah, there's a lot of work and thought that goes into planning some of those upgrades and updates. So that looks very, very helpful for that.
Yeah, awesome. Happy that we ran through it.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. So yeah, I don't see any other questions here. But again, if folks do have questions and you'd like to get in touch with us, you can always reach out to your account teams. They can help you out with anything you need there. You can reach out to our team, the community team. We're community-team at pagerduty.com. We're always happy to help out. And if you would like to know more about this or get in touch with us, ping into your account team, you're not sure who that is, you can send in the form at the site on our marketing website, and we'll have somebody reach out and get in touch with you there. So we're love to share this with you and hope that it solves many, many problems for you. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, to summarize, team, hope you're able to see how this could string along the automation and break down those silos and just improve the efficiency at which you work, and create some transparency amongst the team on what is happening, what is the latest update, and again, just break down those silos. So we're excited with this product. It's going to be focused on a lot for this year and moving forward. So you're going to see a lot of those integrations built out further. Um, and I can't wait to hear all of the interesting use cases from the field. So excited to talk to you all. But until then, we'll see you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot, Alan. We'll be back next month with another demo. I think we have the date picked, but you'll see more from us next month. And in the meantime, we'll wish everybody out there an uneventful day.